Hello everyone, welcome to Anita's World, a safe space for everyone. I hope everyone is having a great start to the new year. I feel like there's always kind of like this buildup leading to the new year, and then it arrives, and at that point it's like, okay, we can't just talk about the new year, like we're actually here and it's time to take action on manifesting the life that we want to create.
Advice for women in business: get your fucking ass up and work.
And I'm honestly really grateful to say that a lot of my New Year manifestations are already starting to unfold. I did create a vision board for myself, and I did one digitally, but I also created a physical one. So I created it and I took a step back. I'm like, I'm living out my vision. Like, I'm actually living it out, and not all of the things have taken place yet, but I'm like, I can see the way that it's unraveling. I can see the way that God is ordering my steps so that I can live my best life. I feel really grateful, and I just want to share that love with you all. I hope that 2024 is a year of blessings for you, a year of growth, a year of love, and everything that you could ever hope for. One of the things that I did leading into the new year was take a social media break as one of my manifestations to be more present in my life and doing more things to be present in my everyday life. And so like the last week of December going into the first year, the first week into 2024, I decided to take a social media break. And one thing I noticed is I was like, this is the first social media break that I taken that I actually followed through with. And I don't know about anyone else, but I've had many failed attempts at a social media break in the past where I would delete the apps off my phone. I delete Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, like everything that I had. And so I would go on Twitter on my laptop, or I would, download Instagram on my iPad and go on there, and really just defeated the purpose of taking a social media break and never really successfully following through with it and reaping the true benefits of a social media break. And really that all boiled down to FOMO. I was very vocal on my social platforms back then, and I also used it as a way to know what was going on around the world and in our communities as well. So I just had this fear of like, if I don't have social media, like how am I supposed to be in the know of what's going on, and how am I able to, respond back timely to messages and all of this stuff that really, you can do all those things without social media. I no longer have that fear of missing out anymore. But one thing that I noticed that was different from the attempts of taking a social media break in the past compared to the one that I took recently is my approach. I was very intentional about how I approached it and what I wanted to get out of the experience. And so I want to share that with you all today. I did write a blog post diving into this as well, but I wanted to do a video because I feel like going into the new year, a lot of us probably want to practice being more present in our lives and maybe not getting so caught up in the scroll of doom. Doom scrolling is very prominent these days, and I feel like it's prominent across, I would say this is just a Gen Z millennial thing, but I feel like it's prominent across multiple generations, because as long as you have this device, it gives you access to everything, and it's easy to scroll for hours and hours, and that is the way the algorithm is set up, to feed us things that we enjoy seeing. And it is almost like a dopamine hit. Biologically, it does something to us where we want more. We want to keep scrolling, we want to keep engaging. And so sometimes it's nice to just step back, take a break, and be present in real life, because ultimately, we go on social media and we share certain aspects of our lives, but social media is not real life. It is a virtual place where people come to connect and share what is going on in their real lives, but At the end of the day, it is not real life. I'm just saying, if anything, it should be the fear of missing out what is taking place in our real lives and not a virtual platform. Hang out with a friend and fully be present without scrolling through your phone in the middle of a conversation or at dinner. I don't think social media is bad. Taking a social media break does not mean that you are done with social media forever. I'm so grateful that I grew up in this era where social media has been so prominent, because I have connected with so many people on social media. I've connected with a lot of you guys. You're able to share content and inspire others. That's something that I really love social media for. I like to share books that I'm reading. I like to share things that I am learning, things that are helping me along my path. So social media is amazing, but I think that sometimes it's nice to take a step back and reevaluate our relationship with social media, especially if you're someone like I was at one point where it was really hard for me to disconnect. So I don't know if all devices have this, but on iPhones, it will tell you how much time you spend on different apps on your phone. And then within Instagram, they also have a setting as well where you can see how much time you've spent on the app, and you can actually limit how much time you spend. So in your settings, you can have it set to where maybe you only want to spend an hour a day on Instagram. You can have it set to that, and once you hit that 1 hour mark, pop-up will come up to where you no longer have access to like do the scrolling and things, and of course you can bypass it. Just found myself spending hours scrolling, and I have so many other things that I want to pour myself into, so many things that I truly enjoy doing, but I think that spending time on these devices takes away from that in a sense. So really for me, it was just a practice to be more present and reevaluate my relationship with social media. But I want to go ahead and share with you guys kind of my approach to being able to take a successful social media break. When I say successful, I mean following through with it, like setting these parameters for myself and sticking to it. So the first thing that I did, which might seem very obvious, but I'm not gonna lie, in the past I was not setting these boundaries with myself, and that was deciding how long I wanted my break to be. So in the past, like I said, I would kind of do it impulsively. I'd be like, ugh, I'm scrolling too much on my phone, I'm gonna just delete these apps, but never really setting those boundaries for myself of like, okay, but for how long? Is it just for today? Is it for a week? Is it for a month? Like, how long is it gonna be? I found this study through the Cyber Psychology, Behavior, and Social Networking Journal, and basically they conducted a study aimed to understand the effects of a 1 week break from social media. So this was like Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. That's what they considered social media for the sake of this study. And they found that as a result of that 1 week break, it led to improvement in mental wellness. So a decrease in depression, a decrease in anxiety, and just overall improvements in one's mental well-being. And I can honestly say, with me taking that 1 week break, I did feel those benefits as well within myself. I feel like a 1 week break is a good starting point, especially if you're someone who uses social media regularly. And I think for a lot of people these days, social media is a way of, like, it's a moneymaker for some people. Some people's job is to use social media in order to promote products or services, or, you know, through brand deals and sponsorships and things like that. So I feel like for some people, realistically, anything more than a week would probably be a little bit crazy. I feel like 1 week was a sweet spot for me personally. So just being able to kind of set that boundary with myself to say, okay, this is when I'm starting the break and this is when it's ending. So from this time to this time, I will not be on social media. And I deleted the apps off of my phone. So like I said, I feel like that is a very obvious one. Also, I apologize for the lighting because the sun is starting to set and it's only 3:35. But yeah, I feel like that's a very obvious one, but I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't doing that in the past, and that just let me know right off the bat that I was not setting myself up for success. The next thing is reevaluating your relationship with social media. I think that's something that's really important to do before you even go into your break. And what I mean by that is thinking about how is social media affecting your life today? You know, is it affecting your ability to be present? Is it affecting your self-esteem? I know that's a big one for a lot of people, where they scroll on social media and they see people with a certain body type, with a certain, you know, appearance or a certain lifestyle, living a certain way, and it makes them feel insecure about their life and the way that they look and the way that they feel about the life that they're living. I think it's important to consider, okay, after this break is done, how much time do I actually want to be spending on social media? Like, do I want to, instead of spending 3 or 4 hours a day, which when I did research, it showed on average the 2.5 hours a day on social media is what's common for a lot of us according to statistics. So if that is you, and if you are someone who struggles to disconnect, I think it's important to think about, okay, this is how social media is affecting me. These are the benefits, these are the cons, and this is what I can do to improve my relationship with it moving forward, which could be limiting the amount of time that you spend on it. I didn't write this in my blog post, but I'm thinking about it now. Kind of designing your timeline to be something that really resonates with you and uplifts you. And so I've curated my timeline with the people that I follow to be people that I am inspired and uplifted by the content that I see, and informed and educated as well, versus content that makes me feel less about myself, content that is very like negative and draining on your mental, like for example like the shade room and like the toxic relationship pages where men are talking down on women and women are talking down on men, and it's just like messiness. So I feel like that also plays a very important role, is, you know, who are you following and what type of content do they produce, and does that resonate with what you want to consume on a regular basis? A diet for us, I feel like it goes beyond just what we're putting in our bodies, but what are we visualizing, and how is it impacting our mind, and how is it impacting the way that we show up in the world, the way that we see ourselves, the way that we see others. The second thing that I did to prepare and set myself up for success with this social media cleanse was planning activities, or planning just things to do in place of the time that I would normally spend scrolling through social media. A lot of times what causes us to break our social media cleanse is we get into it and then we might feel bored. When you're spending less time on social media, you're getting things done a lot quicker, and now you have all this free time. And it's like, okay, well, what do I do with this time now? And that is when you become tempted to want to scroll. But since we're deleting these apps off our phone across all devices, we don't want to be tempted. I think it's really important. This was important for me to really plan that entire week to be like, okay, what are we gonna do in order to prevent myself from wanting to scroll on social media? That can look different for everyone. Maybe there's a project that you have been wanting to start, but you've been procrastinating on starting it. You know, that's something that you can do. Maybe you want to get back into being more active. Maybe you want to start like a Pilates class, or go to a yoga class, or, you know, check out events in your local area that you could go to that maybe normally you'd be cooped up in your house watching YouTube, scrolling on Instagram. That was me. This is your opportunity to like try new things, or do things that maybe you've been wanting to do but just really haven't made a conscious effort to make time for. Before you even take your social media break, think about, okay, when I'm tempted to scroll on my phone, what will I do instead? What is going to fill this time so that I can be as productive as possible with this time that I'm taking away from social media? Just making good use of your time. And good use of your time can be rest. Good use of your time can be scheduling an appointment with your therapist. Good use of your time can be you know, doing a deep clean of your entire apartment. Good use of your time can be starting a book, you know, like start reading a book or writing a book if that's something that you want to do. You know, a good use of your time could be going for a walk. A good use of your time can be, you know, just so many different things. It's just the things that you would normally put on the back burner because you are just caught up in trying to get everyday life done, but also catching up with people on social media and being, you know, engaging and interacting and things like that. It's like, okay, this is your time to bring all of that energy back to yourself or back into the things that are important to you or that you are really interested in incorporating into your life. Last thing is consider consolidating your social media presence. And what I mean by that is if you have every social media platform there is to have out there, if you have Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, what else is there? I'm sure there'll be another one in a couple years. Thinking about, okay, do I really use all these platforms? So I had Instagram, Twitter. I've never had TikTok. I don't have a TikTok and I'm not falling into that trap. I refuse. But Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, I think that was, and then Tumblr. I don't know if y'all count Tumblr, but I still be on Tumblr and I love Tumblr, but Tumblr to me is like a digital museum, and it's different from any other social media platform. If you know, you know, like I'm gonna just leave it at that. But one of the social media platforms that I did delete was Twitter. Once they started doing the stories and doing a lot of things that was similar to other social media platforms, I'm like, what is the point? Like a lot of these platforms have a lot of the same features. So I'm like, Twitter can go, and I deleted Twitter. And then there was a point where I deleted Snapchat. I deactivated my Twitter. Snapchat, I didn't deactivate my account, but I just deleted it off my phone because I was not using it. Stories became a thing on Instagram, so it was kind of the same thing. And I'm like, well, I'd rather keep Instagram and delete Snapchat, and I can do stories on Instagram, and I can share those like shorter pieces of content the same way that you can on Snapchat on Instagram. So my point is, a lot of these social media platforms have a lot of the same features. You can do a lot of the same things. So you kind of want to ask yourself, do you really need them all? A lot of the content that was on Twitter would eventually make it onto Instagram. A lot of the videos on TikTok eventually become Instagram reels. So all this content is being recycled and reused on different platforms. So it's like, do you really need all of them? Hopefully these 5 things, by doing this can help you take a social media break more intentionally, and you can come back to using social media in a way that is healthy. So thank you so much for watching.